If your stereo master bus looks like this, then we really need to talk. Now, what I'm about to show you is exactly what you need to do to get industry standard Grammy-winning quality in your music. Why listen to me? Because I've done it. I'm the owner and founder of Mastering.com. And you know, with a name like that, you know I'm serious about one thing, and that's mastering. Over the past decade, we have mastered over 30,000 songs and have trained hundreds of producers to step up their game by applying pro-level mastering to their music and help them start offering their pro-level services to paying clients so that they can make a substantial income doing what they're great at and what they love. But most of the time, the people that we work with don't care about money. They just want the music that they create to sound exactly how it sounds in their head. Hundreds and hundreds of music producers that we've worked with have leveled up, landed huge record deals, generated serious income, replaced their mastering engineer, and the list goes on. So if you're serious about your music, serious about replicating the sound you have in your head, and serious about making this more than just your hobby, you're definitely in the right place. So let's jump in. Okay, here's exactly what you need to do in order to master your song professionally from start to finish. All right, let's dive into the first one. You have to understand that mastering is not mixing. From now on and forevermore, I want you to separate your mastering process from your mixing process. What does this look like? Instead of mixing your project into a mastering chain in your mix session, just get rid of all those plugins and just mix. Then once your mix is done, bounce out that final mix to a separate file and then bring that into a mastering session. Now you master. That one simple step in the process will force you to treat mastering as its own art and science, and I promise you it'll completely change your mindset about mastering. Okay, second, you need to become an objective listener. Now you're probably used to listening to references to try to understand what things should sound like. You're also probably wondering why your mixes sound great in the studio, but not great in the car or other media formats. That is because you haven't become an objective listener and you haven't made your studio an objective listening environment. Once you close the feedback loop between your ears, your mind, and your room, you'll only then start making progress towards final sonic quality in your music. Third, you have to understand the sonic spectrum. By this, I mean you have to understand how a mastering engineer handles stereo EQ. The sonic spectrum is the entire EQ curve that's happening in your song. You can work tirelessly on your music, and then when you finally get to the master stage, your final mix that you wanted to sound like this ends up sounding like this. The reason why this happens is you've lost track of the overall sonic spectrum. Once you know what to listen to from the beginning, you won't be caught off guard once you get to the final mix. Okay, next you have to understand the dynamic spectrum. Now the main struggle that I hear with producers when I talk to them is they have to choose between loud or dynamic. Now I understand this completely. It's actually pretty easy to get your final master sounding loud, but you usually have to sacrifice dynamics. And of course it's easy to keep your final masters dynamic, but it sounds bland, not clear, and nowhere near the loudness it needs to be. Now most people think that the secret is to get your compression and limiting dialed in, but that's not really where the secret is. The best way to get the best of both worlds, loudness and dynamic, is to outsource your actual loudness to perceived loudness. The way you do that is to EQ your final master to sound loud without actually being loud. Then you use your compressors and limiters to get the final dynamic spectrum so you can easily get both loud and dynamic final masters. Moving on, you need to have the right tools. I'm not talking about automated algorithms that master your tracks for you. Just throw those out immediately. I'm talking about getting time-tested and true mastering tools in order to empower you, the producer, to make correct decisions as opposed to relying on tools. Realistically, all you need is an arsenal of 1 to 2 saturation plugins, 2 to 3 EQs, 2 to 3 compressors, and 1 to 2 limiters. But that isn't nearly as important as our next step. You have to know how to use the tools. Anybody can use the same plugins or gear, but let's be real. It's not about the tools, it's how you use the tools. In fact, I'll go so far to say that you can get industry standard Grammy-winning quality masters in your music with default plugins. Think about it. If you get a real professional drummer behind an average drum kit, you better believe that you'll get an amazing drum sound. The same is true with mastering. You have to know how to use the tools before you start turning the knobs. And finally, you have to find yourself a mentor. The reality is, you won't be able to get to where you want to be just by watching videos and trial and error. Don't think how or what, rather think who. You want to find somebody that knows what they're doing, have been there and done that, and then methodically follow everything that they do. That will jumpstart your path to real success. I can guarantee it. It'll save you loads of time, and it will shortcut you to where you want to go. Now, having said all that, it's not going to be easy to execute on all this. In fact, the best and fastest way to help get you there is to ignore all the noise on YouTube and find a real pro to work closely with to get you there faster. That's why I created a brand new free training to show you how to get Grammy-winning industry standard quality in your music and start offering this service to others so you can make a substantial income doing what you're great at and what you love, all while focusing in and understanding the dark art of audio mastering. Now, you really need to jump on this because you won't find any of this information on YouTube, and it's built specifically for producers who want to step up their game and get serious about mastering. So click the button on the bottom of the screen now to check out the free masterclass. Inside this training, you'll learn how to achieve the sound you have in your head, how to master your music like a true professional so you can fill in the last 10% of your music production process, how to achieve Grammy-winning sonic quality without the use of expensive analog gear, why you don't need a secret plugin to get loud, clear, punchy, dynamic final masters, how to charge pro-level rates for your services and make a substantial income doing what you're great at and what you love, and a whole lot more. So click the button now to get access to this free masterclass. That's all, guys. I'm really excited for you to take your music to the next level, and I'll see you in the training.